Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. So in this video, I'm going to take and show you all how to make an easy version of a welded square corner. Now this is a corner weld, if you will, and we are doing this out of some 1/4 inch by 1 inch flat stock, and I'm just prepping my first bar of material. Now, so I've just created a scarf here by taking and hammering out this material and fullering out one corner laterally. That's what we want there, so hopefully you guys can see that. Now I'm going to set that piece off the side just a bit so it doesn't burn up. I'm going to go ahead and heat up this other piece, turn on my fan, and we're going to take and do the next piece. So this is considered a very basic weld. This is a simple form of weld. Again, it's just more or less a lap joint. All you're going to do is be laying the two pieces over. We're going to do a drop the tongs weld basically that's what it is in the long run. We're just dropping one tong, this one, the free tong. We're going to drop it as we pin the other piece to the anvil surface as we make our weld. But we're going to use our main set of tongs, which is a pair of box jaws, to take and hold our main material. And we're going to go ahead and scarf this joint here. You want to scarf the joints both the same direction. So I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. We're going to scarf this joint the same way that we did the other one. Draw it laterally in the same direction. Just like so. I'm going to give the scale just a quick brush there. Nothing too serious here. We'll do this in real time, so hopefully you guys can see it. So we've pulled both scarves out the same direction for this L weld. Now we're going to flip it over, and then we will put it on top. And then that's how we will make our weld. So both those scarves will fit together. So I will come out of the fire with this piece, just like you see it here. We will set it on the anvil, or just up off the anvil. I'll set the other piece on top, press it to the anvil, drop the tongs, and pick up the hammer and weld this. We're not using any flux at this point because we don't need it. We're going to make sure the toes of our scarves are pointed up in the fire so they don't burn. And we're going to set these back up in the fire here and bring them up to a welding heat. Now it is my suggestion for you to make sure that you heat a good section of stock. So about maybe 4 to 6 inches back from the ends need to be nice and cherry red in order to take and not suck the heat quicker from the weld itself. The closer you get to a welding heat, you need to shut off your blower and control your airflow more to take and make this weld. Making welds, any forge weld of any kind, has everything to do with timing. The time from when you pull it out of the fire to the time that you get it on the anvil and weld it is very crucial. More so than any of the other factors in forge welding. You'll see a lot of people talk about, building welding fires and the proper kind of this and that and what have you, but all that goes to take and help create nice forge welds, but it is not a necessity to get a forge weld. I have a dirty fire right now as an example. Okay, I've got them up in the up orientation. I'm going to bring them out and weld them now. See, I waited too long. See how that works? That's too long. It took me way too long to get those pieces out. So put them back in the fire, bring it back to a welding heat, and we're going to go quicker. I hope you all enjoyed that. I'm just trying to demonstrate to you that it takes too long. It's important to practice before you come out of the fire. See, I went over here and it took me too long to arrange them versus if I just went here. So we're going to focus on doing them the right way this time around. give it a little more airflow here. We have to heat. Still too long, and the wrong direction. And now you're seeing the true difficulties of a blacksmith making a weld here. I'm sure many of you have experienced this yourselves. And it gets frustrating. But we're going to stick at it. We're going to stick at it. We're going to turn this to where the little toes of the scarves are up. We've got it in the right orientation now, I believe. I'm going to check it. Okay, those are the correct orientation. And now we're going to get our weld in here. So your fire maintenance and control needs to be spot on at this point. You need to bring your fire up to the temperature you want your metal to be. Then you want to back off the airflow. And it's all in that timing. We're going to come straight out. I'm going to set it right here and weld it. I've said that the last 3 times, but let's see if we can make it so this time. So you might get one piece that's getting up to temp, but the other piece isn't quite there yet. All right, that's welded. So now we're going to put it back in the fire with the corner in. We're going to cover it, and we're going to bring that whole corner back to heat. So as you can see, not all was lost just because it didn't stick the first time. That is part of the process. The only time something is completely lost is if you burn it to no end, or you've thinned it so much that there's not enough metal there anymore that you've now created a waste. So now this is going to be hot enough again. I'm going to pick directly up out of the fire. I'm going to continue to weld that in, weld the scarf on the other side, and then we're going to take and weld in the toes in the corners here. Again, I've got some stuff here kind of preventing me from welding my corner out fully. I'm going to throw this back in the fire now and go at it one more time to take and clean up this corner joint. I'm going to throw that corner in the fire. We're not trying to take and dig it to the bottom where the air blast is. We're trying to keep it up where the coke's at in the fire, and we're going to weld that corner in. This is just going to take really rapid, light blows to take and clean this up now. Also, because I did miss my first welding heat and my second attempt, I actually hammered on it a little bit. I thinned it a little more than I should have. So at this point, this is going to help me upset the piece back to where it needs to be. So I can make some pretty complex welds, and then I get on camera and I do something as simple as this. And this is a fairly simple weld by welding standards, and I have problems with it. So if I can have problems with it, you can have problems too. So don't feel bad. And now the toes are not wanting to blend in. So now is the point where I'm going to use, since the toes do not want to blend in, I'm going to use some borax on there to make sure that when I blend those toes in, or I scarf them in, that I'm not trapping scale underneath them, because then they'll never weld in. So we're going to grab a little 20 mule team borax, just a little bit of stuff. We'll give a sprinkle on that side. We're going to give a sprinkle on this side, maybe a little more on that side, and that's all you need, just 2 little sprinkles. Just a little sprinkle. But the rest of this is just cleaning up this joint. That's all this is right now at this point. We've already got a weld, so that's good. Now all we're doing is finishing out, cleaning up that joint. Now as you weld, you'll notice something happen, is that you'll weld the toe on the top side, but the toe of the scarf on the back side won't weld in nicely. And that's because as soon as you set it on the anvil will act as a heat sink and suck the heat out of the toe of the scarf. So that means you need to take and flip that side up, bring it up to welding heat again, and then peen that in as well. You can also switch to a much lighter hammer to peen in the toes of your scarf, so you don't thin your material as much. That's also very handy. And we're going to blend that out very nicely, and it's all blended out nicely. That corner's nice and scarfed. Get it nice and square. Just like that. We've got a nice piece all squared up here. Now you can keep working this joint out until you get something that's really nice and square, or you can leave that inside radius, which is fine. But that piece is welded on there. So that is how you make a corner weld. That's also how you don't make a corner weld, if you will. I'm going to continue to clean this up just ever so slightly. I see some little areas that didn't quite want to take in, and I'm going to switch to a much lighter hammer for this, just so I can dress in those little areas. But this piece is already structurally sound, so you don't have to worry about it like that. But I think that's where I'll leave you for today after I do this little dressing up thing. I'm going to switch from this hammer, and I'm going to go down to a really little lightweight hammer, something along the realm of about 8 ounces. Just so this way I can dress out that corner the way I want and not upset a whole bunch of things in some of these little corner areas. But anyways, like I said, that's where I'll leave you for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to take and support more videos like this, a great way for you to do that is to share this video around if you found it helpful. If it helps you make some square corner joint welds for the first time, just share this around with your friends. That greatly helps the channel out. And if you'd like to take and support us financially here at Christ-Centered Ironworks, that is always an option over at Christ-Centered, or all the way over at blacksmithpdfs.com, or you can check out our website at christcenterironworks.com. At any rate, thank you so much for watching. As always, God bless you, and we will catch you on the next one.